Imagine going to war against giant flightless birds and losing so badly you have to retreat in shame. Welcome back to the dark side of history. I am Barnaby, and today we are looking at a military conflict where the enemy didn't have guns, or a navy, or even the ability to fly. It was 1932. The world was reeling from the Great Depression. In Western Australia, returning soldiers were given land to farm wheat. It was supposed to be a reward for surviving the trenches of World War I, but nature had a different reward in mind. A reward with feathers and a very bad attitude. 20,000 emus. An army of giant, flightless birds migrating inland from the coast in search of water and food. And they found it in the veterans' wheat fields. These weren't your average pigeons. Emus are massive. They stand over 6 feet tall, can run at 30 miles per hour, and have legs powerful enough to tear apart wire fences. They marched across the farmland like a feathered locust swarm, eating everything in sight and trampling what they didn't eat. The farmers were desperate. They asked the government for help, and the government, in its infinite wisdom, decided to send in the army with machine guns. Because if there is one thing human history has taught us, it is that high-caliber military hardware solves absolutely everything. The operation was led by Major G.P.W. Meredith. He arrived with 2 Lewis machine guns and 10,000 rounds of ammunition. The plan was simple. Herd the emus into a tight group, open fire, and watch the feathers fly. But the emus had other plans. The first engagement was a disaster. The birds spotted the ambush and split into small, highly mobile groups. They scattered, using the dense scrub as cover. The machine guns fired, but the emus were simply too fast and too agile. Major Meredith later reported, and I quote, "If we had a military division with the bullet-carrying capacity of these birds, it would face any army in the world." Yes, the major was outmaneuvered by poultry. The army tried again. They mounted one of the machine guns on a truck, hoping to run the birds down. It was a brilliant idea, until they realized that an emu can outrun a truck driving over rough terrain. Also, the gun couldn't aim properly while bouncing over dirt roads. The emus just casually jogged away. By November, after weeks of shooting, the army had killed fewer than 1,000 birds, out of 20,000. They had used almost 10,000 bullets. That is roughly 10 rounds per emu. The military command, red-faced and humiliated, pulled the troops out. The Great Emu War was officially lost. The farmers were left to fend for themselves, the government quietly withdrew its support, and the emus just kept eating. It is easy to laugh at this. It sounds like a cartoon. A bunch of guys with machine guns losing to birds. But beneath the absurdity, there is a grim reality. These farmers were broken men. They had survived the horrors of trench warfare only to be sent to a desolate patch of dirt where they were bankrupted by an enemy they couldn't shoot. The government's grand strategy was a publicity stunt that wasted taxpayer money and left the veterans to starve. We like to think we are the masters of this planet. We build cities, forge steel, and split the atom. We point our guns at the sky and declare victory over nature. But nature doesn't care about our guns, or our governments, or our desperate need for wheat. The emus didn't win a war. They didn't even know they were in one. They were just hungry, and they moved to where the food was. They were an unstoppable force of biology, completely unbothered by our pathetic attempts at dominance. So the next time you feel powerful, remember the Australian Army in 1932. Remember Major Meredith, sitting in the dust, outwitted by a bird with a brain the size of a walnut. We are not the masters of nature. We are just living in it. And sometimes, nature sends 20,000 birds to remind us of our place. I'm Barnaby. Thanks for watching. Now go drink some water, preferably not out of a trough an emu just bathed in.